When I was growing up, my mom was distant. We never really connected.
My daughters and I were very close when they were young.
We didn't hug, we didn't kiss. One of my teachers, when she tried to hug me, it was like, I didn't know how to. I didn't know where to put my arms.
One day I woke up and I just couldn't stand her anymore. I found her to be phony, irrational, fake. My mom is so selfish and she fits the definition of a sociopath. My whole life, I always wanted my parents to divorce.
Our marriage problems became very serious when I found out that Ken was having an affair.
My mom was convinced that my dad had an affair, but they didn't. My dad is very happily remarried, and my mom can't stand it.
How do you feel about, not what your father's told you, but what you actually have experienced? Where are you?
Well, I could have told you exactly. The first thing was gonna be, this is all about the divorce, and when they don't believe that he had the affair, but I have proof, which she can't prove.
Are you still upset about this divorce? Are they right about that, that you're obsessed with it and upset about it?
I'm not obsessed with it. I'm upset with what their dad has done and manipulated them and turned them against me.
And how long ago was the divorce final?
It was final 3 years ago.
And he's remarried?
He's remarried.
How long ago?
2 years.
And you showed up at the wedding?
I didn't show up at the wedding.
That's not true.
I drove trying to find a church that had mass that evening because I had been in a meeting.
Mom,
I was in a meeting all afternoon. I wanted to go to church that night so I wouldn't have to go the next day.
So you just happened to drive up where your husband was getting married?
No, I went to 3 different...
Because the police seem to remember chasing you away.
The police didn't chase me away, no.
yes, they did.
I went
There was
to
a
St.
security
Teresa's
guard there.
parking lot at Mass at 5:30, and it was too late to go to church, so I went to St. Mark's, which the parking lot was full. It looked as if Mass had started already, so I drove around and then I went home. I didn't go to the wedding. I was not
No, because they
intending
chased
that.
you away.
No one chased me away.
Are you saying that you didn't show up at the church where he was getting married?
I was at the parking lot. I didn't know the wedding was
You were in the
then.
parking lot of the church
I drove
where you got
through
married.
the parking lot to look at the schedule to see what time the masses were. And there wasn't a mass at that time, so I went home. I did this at 2 churches.
Were they expecting you?
No.
Well, they hired security. I mean, a lot of weddings that didn't have security. Why did they have security
How
there?
paranoid they are. Why would they think that I would
Well, it's
show
not
up if there
paranoid
was
if in fact you're
guilty?
cruising the parking lot. I'm just asking if you're, I mean, because that's something that you would want to deal with if that's, I mean, did she show up at the wedding or did she not?
She did.
Were you there?
Through the parking
I was
lot.
there.
Were you there?
Yeah.
So y'all were there and she showed up at the wedding and they had to chase her out of the parking lot?
And the guy chased her vehicle for a while. My mom had a drinking birthday party for my 18-year-old brother. Parents of the children found out about it and contacted the police. My mom was brought into the police station and she talked her way out of it. The root beer kegger is the most recent stunt that she pulled.
Oh yeah, root beer keg.
And it was a fake party to fake out the cops, to show that they were just having fun with root beer. The police came in with breathalyzers and found out that nobody had been drinking alcohol.
Are they like
Everybody's blowing
everyone?
zeros, man.
No one's drinking here, are they?
Nobody did.
No one at all?
Nobody drank anything.
It was just to kind of get back at the cops for questioning my mom about parties.
They called you in and questioned you, right? About having drinking parties at your house?
Right.
And you all say she talked her way out of it.
Well, that's
That's
just how
not
she
true.
is.
They said that Ruthie has agreed that there have been parties at her house where kids have been drinking, but that she didn't supply the alcohol. After I talked to her, she had a party the very next week. She only had root beer in a keg where they did it on purpose, and all of us went there because we were watching the house on weekends anyway. Kids at school were bragging about the fake party they had to the police.
That's what
And
it
then
says
that's
on the
their
YouTube.
She was
opinion,
at the
but
party
that's
the
not-
entire time. We believe she supplies the alcohol for these kids. She has condoned that they are having this fake party teaching the kids to have no respect for the authorities.
That wasn't my reason to have it at all. And they twisted, and that was their opinion, but that wasn't my reason.
All right, well, let me read you something. Now, this is from Ruthie's fan club on Facebook.
And that was the kids twisting things again.
Okay, well, this is by your son that's twisting it, because this is created by Dustin.
And they think this is cool, but that's not what I wanted to happen.
It says, she has been notorious for supporting teen partying and practicing safe habits. After hosting several house events, it's time to thank this woman. Recent news. Ruthie picked, I don't want to say the last name, Dustin up from a party where he received an underage for blowing a .16.
And that's because a police officer told me to pick him up. He said he had had an underage, and I did know he's...
So the police called you and said, your son is over here and he's underage and he's drinking, which you knew because he does it at your house, but you went over there and picked him up, right?
No, he told me to come and pick him up because he had been drinking, so I went and picked him up to bring him home, and then I called his dad.
Yeah, but you didn't quite make it home because you took him to somebody else's house and dropped him off.
Well, he did go to his friends after that. And I did call his dad. He lived near his dad. I called his dad and told him that he did have an underage.
Okay, but that isn't what you told me. I said, did you go pick him up? Because it says here that you did. And you said, yes, they wanted me to come pick him up so I could go get him and bring him home because he had been drinking. But you didn't bring him home. You dropped him off at a buddy's house.
Well, he did go to a friend's house that evening, yes, but the parents were there.
Well, he was intoxicated, so was he driving or did you drop him off?
By that time, he wasn't. This was in the morning. I mean, he had gotten his breathalyzer test like about 10 o'clock. This was, by the time everything had been processed and I'd been called, it was like 4 in the morning.
They're also giving you props here for agreeing to chauffeur them around on New Year's Eve between fabulous fun havers.
I didn't know that they were being chauffeured and drinking. I just took him from one house to another and the parents were there, and there were friends and kids over, and I took him to a house at a New Year's Eve party.
I've got to tell you, I think this woman is putting herself, her family, her wealth, her home, everything in jeopardy in terms of criminal prosecution, victims of a DUI, if somebody leaves her house and gets killed. And I got to tell you, if I had a kid that was at your house where you're there as the adult and the chaperone and they're drinking, I am one mad cat. This is reckless. This is reckless indifference. I can't believe that you would put yourself in this kind of vulnerable jeopardy, legal jeopardy, to be the cool mom. I mean, your son's blowing a 16. You pick him up and drop him at another kid's house because you figure he's sobered up enough? Were there no consequences for that? Other than dropping him at a friend's house? Okay, you're going to spend the night with your buddy. Does that seem right to you?
Okay, that's the thing that gets back to their dad.
See, I could tell you she's going to do this all day.
Their
it's about
dad
dad.
and I cannot connect. We cannot communicate. We cannot deal together with the children's issues at all.
I may have missed something here. Was it your husband that picked your son up when he was drunk and blowing a 16?
No, it wasn't, but he also drinks at his dad's house also.
Okay. Do you think that this is all being distorted and stacked up and taken out of context?
Some of it is.
Okay, because what I've got here is you can say that I'm taking this out of context, which I don't think so, and I don't apologize for one whit. I didn't write this, your son did. I didn't say that, your daughter did. I didn't report what they're reporting, your other 2 children did. The only people that aren't here to talk about it are your favorite, Dexter, who I said I didn't want to be involved in this for, I think, obvious reasons. I thought it would be irresponsible. And your husband, who said, I do not want to come and be subjected to these allegations again. We talked to them at length. They say that there certainly wasn't any affair, that you did show up at their wedding and had to be chased off. But you're saying all of this is just all blown out of proportion. And I just can't believe that 2 things. 1, you really believe that, or 2, that you really think I believe it. I mean, you have been a lax mom in allowing drinking inside your home. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Because you've seen it sitting around, right? I mean, even if you didn't know. Now, I do believe this. I do believe you haven't gone out and bought alcohol for these children. I do believe that. I want to be very clear about that. So that tells me you do have some boundaries. You won't go to the liquor store and hook them up. But they bring it to your house, and you know it's there, and you allow it. Your 18-year-old son blows a 1-6 at a party, you drop him off at a buddy's house. My kid would have been 21 before he saw daylight again if he did that. I guarantee you.
The legacy is a story about my family. Kind of tells about why I don't want to have children, generation through generation. I know that my grandmother was mentally ill and abused my mother. I think the abuse caused Mom to lack many vital motherly instincts. When I was about 4 or 5, I remember a specific incident that has always stuck in my mind of going over to visit Grandma with Mom. She was so sweet and offered cookies. I went outside to play with her old German Shepherd, Sparky, and the dog bit me. I ran to the kitchen crying and screaming, "Mommy, Mommy, Mommy, the dog bit me, the dog bit me." And Grandma flipped, started screaming at my mom, started screaming at me. "Get this damn kid out of my house." Who is this woman, I thought. Mysterious transformation from the milk and cookies offering gentle, sweet lady to this horrific image of wickedness. My mom scooped me up, ran me to the truck, opened the passenger door, threw me in and said, "Lock the door, lock the door." My mother stepped on the pedal to rev the engine and escape the crazed woman who at this point had begun to pound her fists on the side of the truck while screaming wildly, "Never come back, never come back." I turned to look out the back window as Grandma stood yelling, still in a rage, shaking her fists in the air toward us. "Sit down and buckle up, honey," Mommy ordered nonchalantly. The incident was never mentioned again.
Are you surprised that she recalls that so vividly?
But who said my mom was a psychopath? Where did you hear that? Okay, this is one incident, and that was the only one?
Psychopath.
Well, what did you say?
I said she was mentally ill.
From where did you hear that?
From my own experience, obviously.
So you have
She was always scary.
an argument or one incident, and you call the person mentally ill? And I was abused? Who said that? I was never abused by my mother. And who did you hear it from?
I didn't hear it from anybody.
Why did you say that I was abused?
I never said
You just
physically
said
abused.
that I was abused.
I never said physically abused. It was abusive situation, obviously.
Where did you hear it that I was abused?
Why? What is this what is
Because
this
I'm
thing?
trying to hear, where did you hear it from?
Are you
Who
nominating
put that in your
her,
head?
Are you nominating her dad?
Yeah.
Yes. Because he has said this to me. He has said I'm mentally ill because of my mother.
Dad and what he's told me.
Well,
he never told me that she was mentally ill.
If I offered to make available some resources to this family, to not only set some boundaries, but to try and begin some healing, would you be open to that?
I would.
Would you accept that counsel? Would you accept that help? Would you sit down and try to
I would.
become an active participant in that?
But I need for the girls, I need for them to know and accept that this did happen. It was an affair. I just need to know that.
But there's no precondition. You say they need to understand that there was an affair and that they don't need to do a damn thing except show up. And that's all you need to do. Just show up and allow yourself to go through the process.
But one thing that happened was their dad shared issues with them, adult issues that he shouldn't have, and I didn't. That's why they're looking at me like I'm closed.
But see, that's what we're going to have a chance to unravel and work out. Can you come to that with an open mind and do that? And bring all that up.
But when I
Bring it on. No, hold on. I don't want to talk beyond this. I just, will you guys participate in this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you'll do that? All right.
Do you have a story or a question for me? Click the link in the description and tell me what in the world is going on.